Hello everybody, how are you doing? Today we are going to be learning about chords or triads, inversions, and primary chords. Now before we start any of that, I have to clarify what I mean by a chord. A chord doesn't have to have 3 notes, but in this case it will have 3 notes. So really we're going to refer to them as triads. Now I'm going to be using C major because it is easy to understand and teach. A chord's name comes from its root note, or the first note you play. Now, this is C, so the first note will always define the chord. So this is a C major chord. Whenever we're making a chord, what we're going to be doing is skipping a note between each one. So we skip a note and play the next note, in this case an E, and then we skip another note, we have G. When we play them all together, we have a C major chord. But for now, we're going to be looking at a general inversion. So how do inversions work? And all an inversion is when we have a bass chord and we want to rearrange the notes so that it's easier to play somewhere else. Let's take our chord we were using before and let's do our first inversion. Now first inversions always look the same. They have different notes, but they always look the same. And when we form an inversion, all we're taking is you take the bottom note of your regular chord and you're moving it up an octave. So our C here, we're going to be moving it up to this C right here, okay? So if we move it up, we move the C up here, and we have this, and we keep those 2 notes we had before, so E and a G. And this is our first inversion. Our second inversion, okay, is we take the next bass note. So in this case we have E. E is our bass note in this inversion. So we move this up an octave. We have it right here, right? This is our octave of E. So we keep the G and we keep the C from our original first inversion chord and we put it up and we get our second inversion, or, okay? So those are inversions and we can use those to make music sound more pretty or more fun, okay? So I would practice this if I were you. So once you have a chord down, I would try going on kind of arpeggiating it, like this. Sounds very nice and it helps you kind of find your way of defining your music. Finally, in this lesson, we are going to be briefly going over primary chords. Now in every scale, in this case C, we have 8 notes, okay? 2 of those are just the root C, okay? And the others are scale notes. And each note can become a chord in our scale, okay? Now C has no sharps or flats, but if there were to have any, you'd have to include them. But the primary chords in a song, usually, or a piece, are the first, the fourth, and the fifth, okay? And we play these in succession to each other because they leave a nice resolution, okay? So what I mean by this is we take our root note, we use our chord, right? We know this. And then we use our fourth, and all the fourth is you do 1, 2, 3, 4, up. That's how you know it's the 4th chord. Makes sense, right? And all we do is we play that as a chord. In this case, it's F major, okay? And a 5th chord is what you would think it is, your 5th note in a scale. In this case, it's a G. And all you would do is play these in succession, and they leave a nice resolution. Now there are certain words we use when we're talking about moving to each one, but I will go over those later. Those are called cadences, so I will review those later, but for now that is what primary chords are. So we learned our chords, right? In this case C major, a triad. I will go over every chord that people normally use, the most frequent, okay, in another lesson. We went over inversions, so our root, or, right, our first inversion, our second inversion, and then our root again, which is just an octave, the same chord again, okay? And we went over primary chords, which are first, fourth, fifth, which can be applied to all of them, alright? So that is kind of what our lesson has been today. Hope that you have learned a lot from this. Once you've mastered this, move on to another one. Alright, see you later, guys.